Hi, it's Lisa Norell. Welcome to episode 37 of the Mindful Marketer Livestream. You are here today with us for June 4th. Happy June and happy summer. Lots of good news floating around here in the United States. More and more people being vaccinated, more and more people building their confidence to travel, to go to conferences and events. So if you would like to discuss with us the future of business events and conferences, you're in the right place. I'm Lisa Norell. I own Energize Growth here in Virginia, and I am excited in a moment to share with you our great panel. So before we do that, let me tell you a couple of things. We have people joining us from all over the world today, and we welcome you. Make sure in the chat you tell us where you're from. And one of the things I did before this session is I did some research. One of the things that I found out is that in the Wall Street Journal and through Value Graphics, a noted research firm out of Vancouver, Canada, they just recently did a study of 1,850 very avid conference goers. And through the magic of David Allison and his research team, here's what they found. They found that there is dissonance. There is dissonance. So attendees of conferences value family, belonging, personal responsibility, and community. They see conferences as a community effort. You know, they want to join communities, they want to belong. And yet events planners themselves don't value community or see community as a high value item. So my job today is to bring together people who are really excellent at event planning, strategy, and also have attended a few dozen conferences in their years of experience to really help us unpack how do we close the gap so that planners and strategists are listening to their attendees and customers loudly and design the new world of events planning with confidence and good data. So, welcome. We have people here from Phoenix, Arizona. We have here people from Qatar, from the Philippines, Russia, Pakistan, Los Angeles. Oh my goodness. I am honored that you're here and welcome. Well, before I bring everybody to the stage, thanks to my wonderful producer, Stefan Kaplan, let me tell you about our guest today. We have Christina Marmor from Blue Yonder. She is the director of global events and a new friend of our community. We also have Jake Fabbri, who is an award-winning chief marketing officer from Fontiva in the Washington, D.C. area, a friend and a long-standing member of the Marketing Growth Leaders. Greetings to you, Jake, and welcome.
Hi, Lisa.
And then we have Joan Carrese-Sineni from Maryland, who is the co-founder of an event strategy firm that works with global teams and organizations without clouds, and a dear client. Welcome to all three of you.
Hi, Lisa.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
It's great to see you. It's great to see you. So you saw the data from Value Graphics. You collectively have over 68 years of conference strategy, planning, and business experience in the room today. What are your clients telling you? What are they feeling right now as we slowly emerge from the cocoon known as COVID? Go ahead, Christina. What are you seeing and feeling?
Yeah. So what we're hearing right now from our global customers, our customer base is all over the globe. Our customers are aching for that community. They are aching, just as the data points to. They value that community and community engagement. That's something that is really difficult to replicate inside of what we've been doing over the past 15 months. So they really are aching for an opportunity to come back together, not just to network, but really learn from one another. it's really difficult for them, especially for what my customers within the supply chain ecosystem, for them to actually get together on a virtual meeting and really do what they need to do, and that's to learn and pick each other's brains. And we really want to get them back together. We're hearing from them, and they cannot wait to be back in person.
Yes, so people are clamoring. And yet, the article in the Wall Street Journal that I just saw on Wednesday, which I highly recommend everyone read, is saying that American Airlines did a survey of their top 50 corporate accounts. And, it's a gradual increase in the business travel and conferences. It's not some huge spike. Joan, I know you work with corporate, nonprofits, and government clients. What's the pace at which they're getting back to live events? Okay, it seems like Joan's may have frozen up on us, so I'll bounce back to Joan in a bit. Jake, how about you?
Yeah, I think it is a gradual, because some internal meetings I think have already started to come back, right? People are starting to travel for internal meetings and meeting each other again, but the budgets aren't there because we didn't anticipate when we would be back to travel for business. And the planning curve around larger conferences and events just is not something we can turn on a dime, right? So that's going to slowly come back over time. And I think we'll see the travel that people can get in as part of these events, hybrid events, as much as they can, because they do want to be back together in person.
Yes, they're like, please, let's get together. I've been seeing comments in my LinkedIn feed and my Facebook feed where people are saying, could we all just get together and hug each other?
Exactly. That we're hearing that too. And, like Jake said, Jake brings up a good point, the budgets, right? So we actually, a lot of our customers, the necessary travel budgets just aren't there. But gosh, they are going to be there starting Q1 of next year. And we're seeing a lot of compression. So when we're looking to book new business, whether it is, conference, incentive, even through, the large trade shows, there's compression, and it's really difficult to find that space and find those dates, because we're also seeing those overlaps of events that are being rescheduled. So we're really anticipating even Q4 of this year to really start off with a bang, but by Q2 of 2022, wow, it's going to be amazing.
Yes, that's very encouraging. Now, do you think those gatherings will look any different in terms of size or even the design of the events? What do you think about that, Joan? Go ahead, Christina, and then we'll pop over and hear what Joan is seeing as well.
Sure. I think as far as, the design, the experience design, I think as planners and event strategists, we're really taking into account and trying to meet our attendees where they're coming from, recognizing that it's been a while since we've all been back together, and it's been a while since we've had an opportunity to learn. And so we're designing experiences that maybe it's a huge event that has 5,000 attendees, but we're certainly taking into account creating little tiny communities and little tiny engagement efforts inside of those large scale events where we can have folks get together in a smaller setting and in a safer setting as well to have that first go back and that first time back together.
That's really cool. Joan, how about you? You've already been planning some hybrid events and may have completed a few. What are you seeing?
Well, I mean, it's a wonderful option, and I think people are excited about it because it does give the opportunity for some people to attend events in person again, which is great. When we talk to our clients, a lot of the things that we hear are they're concerned that their audience isn't in line with what the client wants, which is to have fully live events again. So the hybrid is a great option. I think part of it too is from a standpoint, we really still recommend people do a duty of care mission for these events.
All right.
So people
So, Joan, we're not getting your full message, but
understand that
I think
even as things are getting better.
so. We're going to have Joan come back with a stronger network connection next time. But let's play off the duty of care, and then Steph is going to bring one of our questions up on the screen in a moment from Stuart. But let's hear from you. What's this duty of care strategy that you're using? Maybe both of you, one of you could share, what do you mean by what is duty of care, and where might that play a role as you're planning some live events coming back together?
Sure. So, as far as from a corporate event planning standpoint and from corporate event strategy, we are leaning on really reflecting what our customers are doing within their own businesses and within their own strategies. We are looking towards ensuring that we create a safe and mindful event experience. The post-pandemic event experience, health, of course, of our attendees is a number one goal, but we also are looking at being more mindful of where our attendees are coming from. This past year has been a year full of many types of disruptions, whether it's through the pandemic. We live and work from home. Work is home and home is work. So as planners and strategists, we're called to really come and really take a deep breath and look and see exactly how we can serve our attendees and our customers and meet them where they're at from both a mental and physical well-being strategy.
Yeah.
How about you, Jake?
Point. Yeah, great points, Christina. And I think that the event planners will lead professionally here. You'll see things like lanyards of different colors that indicate your level of comfort with human touch, right? Do you want to just shake hands, or are you able to get within 6 feet of me? Maybe a different color lanyard allows people to see right away what that is. So there's going to be some changes to the meeting experience to accommodate that and for everybody to be in the same area. And of course, the things that we've learned over in our lives, of going to the hair salon, you have to sign a waiver, right? Is that things like that will be part of the event experience automatically. And those things are already happening. So I think that there will be a different level of attention provided to the interpersonal relationships and interpersonal contact we have.
Absolutely.
Good points. Good points. And I mean, Jake, you have your finger on the pulse of associations, because at Fontiva, you have hundreds and hundreds of associations who rely on the backbone, your technology backbone, in order to plan, launch, and measure the return on investment of live events. Let's hear from one of our LinkedIn users, and they ask, a lot of events have been taking place virtually these days. Yes, they have. Going forward, do either of you see a combination of physical and virtual events?
So,
I think
Jake, why don't you go first? Because I know you have strong opinions on this one.
Yeah, I think so. Look, I mean, there's going to be a curve here where the budgets aren't back yet for travel, but and we already mentioned, the planning curve that takes too long to put a large event together. But I think we're even seeing some venues change their venue to accommodate this type of interaction, right? Where it wasn't perfect before, the virtual experience coming into the live experience as a hybrid was not perfect before, but there's going to be some changes that both the venues, the meeting hosts, and the attendees have to make to bring that together. But it's also a budget concern as well. Like, why go to an event live and pay $1,000 if I can get the same content for $150 virtually, right? So there's going to have to be some business models worked out to help accommodate that and to help widen the audience at the same time, continuing to have the in-person events, because as we've all learned over the last year, you can't really replicate that in a virtual environment. But the virtual portion of a hybrid event does allow you to expand your reach to those that wouldn't otherwise be able to attend.
Good point. Anything else you want to share there, Christina? Because I know we have a question coming up momentarily.
Yeah, sure. I couldn't agree with Jake more. The omnichannel experience, there is always going to be, from a corporate event standpoint, I strongly believe that there will be a virtual component that will run sort of parallel. It might be a different experience. It might not be the exact same experience as the live experience, but there will always be a virtual component, especially for events, like Blue Yonder's customer conference. And quite frankly, the big tech companies have been doing this since 2010. SAP has had, and Salesforce have always had virtual components to their events. And what we're learning and what we can see from our attendees is that there are going to be attendees who their life dictates that it's better to attend from home. They've got those kids still home from school, and we're going to make sure that we accommodate them and serve them well.
Yes, some people may be immunocompromised for a while, or there might be issues with variants or whatever. So we need to accommodate people, and as you said earlier, meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead, Steph. We got a question from one of our clients who was a founding member of the Marketing Growth Leaders. So Stuart Foster. Steph, go ahead.
Hi, Lisa. Stuart Foster here, president of Haggerty. As the group here is starting to think about events for the new world, I'd love to know their thoughts on technology. What event tech is important? Where is the future? And how should brands like mine be thinking about the use of event technology?
That's a great question. Oh my gosh. Jake, you want to start with that?
Well, that could be an entire session by itself, right? But so event technology is going to have to find ways to drive meaningful engagement for on-site events, right? Connecting people that would otherwise, couldn't be connected, for example. At the same time, as we go into the omnichannel or hybrid event, it's going to have to find ways to provide meaningful connections between attendees that are in the virtual environment and each other in the virtual environment, as well as in the live environment as well. And that's the thing that we've seen over the last couple of months, where these hybrid events have started to pop up, is driving the engagement and making sure that you have a level of engagement with the other attendees and with the conference in general is really where the tech is coming along. And I do think that the events technology is entering an era where data is king more than ever, and knowing your attendees, knowing what they want, and knowing what is important to them is going to be more important than ever. So, the era of event data is, I think, here.
Yes. Is there maybe, Christina, you can give us a little bit more meat on that. I know that you and Jake had really enjoyed working together in your previous lives, but if someone were starting out, because we've got some new people that joined us who some of them are new in the event strategy business, or they're having trouble keeping up with all of the great new products coming down the road. If they were beginning, and they weren't $1 billion plus company, as I know Blue Yonder has grown to be, and you were just acquired by Panasonic. But if they're starting out their first year or so, what are a couple of essentials they've got to get right?
You know what? I think the number one piece of advice I could give is change your mindset. You are no longer an event planner. You are an event data scientist. Leverage your tech. Leverage your tech stack and explore it, and don't be afraid. It doesn't matter, quite frankly, how big your company is, whether you're a small nonprofit or a big company like Blue Yonder. You need to dive into that tech. Gone are the days of running our events through those big binders. Gosh, I think I'm showing my age, but when I first started out, it was, spreadsheets, and I'm going to show Jake's age too, because I know he remembers this too.
We're not
lugging
getting
around.
Yeah.
But it's so important. Don't be afraid of the data. We are called, my CMO is calling me to be a data-driven decision maker. He wants to know the what, the when, the where, and the how about my attendees. And that's where our event tech stack really comes in. We're able to do everything from audience segmentation to anticipating using AI and ML to anticipating their next move and our next next move as strategists for our engagement. So that, you can dive right in and, read all of the industry journals. You could find a great mentor. I strongly recommend that. But think of yourself as an event data scientist. And I think once you go from there, you'll be able to find great success. And I encourage anybody listening in, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to chat and connect folks with other event strategy leaders.
That sounds great. And let's also talk for a minute with Will Wise joining us today from Los Angeles, because he also has a question.
Lisa, thanks so much for the session, and great panelists. I love that this is live too. You know, we're talking the talk here. So I'm a group vice president at Reed Exhibitions. We do events all over the world in a lot of industries. So one of the questions I have that I'd love to hear insights on is events are definitely going to start happening, like you guys said, in a hybrid mode, second half of this year, and then really full force into next year. I feel like it's going to be more important than ever for things like referral marketing, credibility building, viral marketing, because, you know, our view is people are going to be a little more choosy on where they choose to go, where they're going to travel, which events should be A-list, B-list. What are your thoughts on tips for that sort of referral marketing or viral marketing for communities?
Oh, thank you, Will, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Jake, what are you doing in that area?
Well, you know, word of mouth marketing is your best bet, but you have to remind people of the experiences they've had in the past, right? At your conference, and how you're going to help them connect in the future. And so I do think that it's a little bit more, we talked a little bit about data, but there's a little bit more data oriented so that we know exactly what people's motivations are and what their roles are for coming to the conference and what they're trying to accomplish. And by having that customer information, you're able to better target them, right? And you're able to better, I mean, look, all the tools are there in our traditional marketing methods to target people one-to-one, but what really matters to them and what motivates them is what matters to getting them to your event and getting them to get on that plane and travel and you know, be out of the office for a week. So I think that's going to be important. The tool set that you have to understand that information from your customers and your attendees is what really matters.
Hope that was helpful, Will. Any final comments, Christina, you would provide in that arena?
Yeah, you know, one thing that we're really working on at Blue Yonder and what my peers at other larger tech companies is we're really now more than ever relying on our influencers. And we all are lucky enough to have some really great customers who are well established within our organizations, who have a great social reach, who are trusted. I find that my customers and my attendees rely on one another for exactly that, for that referral marketing. And so I've already got plans, and big part of my promo strategy for the end of 2021 and 2022 is leveraging my strong influencers, whether it's our customer advisory board, special interest groups, or even our just wonderful customers who are able to actually come on stage and help us discuss our solutions. So find those attendees and use them and give them great love afterwards too.
That's fabulous. Will, thanks for your question, Will. We appreciate it.
Thanks for the feedback. I appreciate it.
And much success to you in the end of the year and into 2022 as those big events come back and more people get hugs. By the way, just a quick update. We have Janet from Washington, D.C. We have Debo from Nigeria, and we have Nihila coming in from India, Linda joining us from Slovakia. I'm telling you, I don't know what happened, but like once I hit episode 36 of the live stream, all of these people from all over the world heard about it. So maybe there's a tiny bit of virality happening with my LinkedIn live stream because of my fantastic team within LinkedIn Learning. So kudos to the LinkedIn Learning team. Shout out to them. Let's hear a question. Yeah, I'm very excited. Let's hear from a question. Susan Weber, the Executive Vice President of Marketing from Walker and Dunlop. Steph, I think she had a question for us as well. Let's see if that one pops up. And if not, I remember it pretty clearly. Susan had a question about how do we measure the return on investment from our events, and what strategies or tools, and also how frequently are you measuring impact as we emerge from the pandemic?
It's a lot.
Go ahead, Jake.
I was like, that's a big one.
That's a lot there. So, to start, I think traditionally we've measured how many people attend, right? How many people attend and how happy were they, right? That's the traditional model. And of course, it's going to get more complex as we step into the hybrid. It's great that we're expanding our reach. It's great that we have more people, right, that are able to see our programs. But we really have to define the goals of what we're trying to accomplish for the type of event we're having prior to going into it, and make sure that our attendee strategy is hitting those goals, right? Because it maybe the best impact for your community and your event is to not have people virtually attend, right? Maybe it's to only have the in-person, and because of the type of event it is, maybe that's something that for some events has to happen. So I do think that the traditional model will still be there, because no money, no mission, right? If you don't balance the books, you can't have the great show next year, right? At that same level. But at the same time, putting that money and that budget for that event to the right type of experience and the right type of engagement for your attendees is where it's all about. So understanding what the goal is for the event and understanding the goal for your attendees, which would matter most. And I think that and their happiness and their willingness to come back to the event year after year is a big thing. Would they? And then the other thing I would say is the good old fashioned Net Promoter Score. Would you recommend this event to a colleague? Would you recommend a colleague come to this event next year? That's a good litmus test. And maybe from your virtual attendees, if it's a hybrid event, would you come in person next year? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, that's a very good question. And on the other hand, we don't want to bombard them with 75 questions on a survey. So right. I bet you have to be very judicious on how many questions you actually ask them. Now, Christina, when you're planning your conferences, or you're hosting them live or even virtually, how many times do you survey those customers and attendees? And at which touch points do you find the most effective?
So as far as it goes event by event, Lisa, depending on who that community is, and what the attendees are. But I got to tell you, no more than my advice is, no more than 3 questions. And if you're going to do more than 3 questions at any given moment, incentivize it if you have the budget to do that. My team is constantly evaluating and constantly in touch with our customers when it comes to our events and throughout the planning process. Going back to those influencers and those strong customer contacts that you have, be sure to have customers actually involved in your planning process. Do not be in a silo of just planning within your own team. We need to, especially now more than ever, as I said before, meet our customers, meet our attendees where they're at. And the way that we do that is actually benchmark with them, see what they need, what is important. And from there, you'll be able to, make those data-driven decisions that you can get directly from those customers to meet the ultimate goals and objectives that they have to come to the event, and also that you have within your organization, whether it's financial or engagement, or, if you're an academic association, getting new presentations and new research put out. Involve your customers, involve your attendees.
Yes, and as Tim from Pennsylvania reminds us, do that now more than ever.
Yes.
And Tim's one of our fanboys, by the way. Tim has been following and attending our sessions since we started our live streams back in June during the middle of the pandemic. So shout out to Tim. Let's talk about engagement and one quick tip. This is a quick fire round. Jake, one quick tip you do to make events more engaging.
Just as many opportunities to get people together organically as possible.
Right. So don't try to craft it. Okay. How about you, Christina? One really great engagement tip.
Create the community ahead of the event, so it's already started and you don't have to start from scratch when they get on site.
Nice, nice. And we have another question from Jillian. Welcome, Jillian. We're glad you're here. Steph, let's hear from hers. How do you get companies open to in-person events if they feel they're getting as much engagement virtually, even though that may not be the case? Now, before you answer that, I also want you to know, when I was doing my research for today's live stream, a couple of executives said to me, our CFOs actually liked how much we could squeeze from a turnip when we had virtual events. So we're asking our chief marketing officers and event strategists to keep that budget where it is and do more with a lot less. So there's that. The CFOs have their own view on this. So what are you doing around this to get them open again to in-person events?
Well, I think the CFOs are in for a rude awakening, first of all, because when it comes to hybrid events, especially, the costs that we had invested in the past in live events, audiovisual and logistics, went towards producing a really great virtual event. So to go back to that hybrid event, now we've got not going to be double the cost, but it's going to be more than it was spent to produce both of those to expand your reach hybrid in an omnichannel or hybrid event. But as far as traveling to in-person events and as far as coming back to the travel budget, I do think it's going to be on a curve, and I don't know if it'll be fully there this year. I think it'll be partially there for the rest of this year as people start to creep back to travel. And I think 2022, it'll be fully there. I think, it is going to be difficult, but marketers have to make the ROI with data-driven decisions. They have to make the ROI argument to their stakeholders, not just the CFO, to other stakeholders in the business, for sure, that these in-person events create real value that you cannot get out of a Zoom meeting or out of a virtual meeting.
Yes, absolutely. Let's hop on over here. I know we also have another question from Patty in Maryland of the company Mosaic, and she has a question for us as well.
Hi, this is Patty Dumas from the DC area with a company called Mosaic, and would love to hear from any of you, knowing that we're going to be in this brave new world of hybrid solutions, and certainly when it comes to events and meetings. How do you see the opportunities to be able to monetize for your clients in different ways? How people attend, when they attend, who can attend, and is that not an opportunity for additional revenue streams that they might not have had before? Would love to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you.
All right, put your creative hat on here, Christina. What are your reactions? And thank you, by the way, to Patty from Mosaic for asking that.
That was a great question, and something that actually we've been working on and strategizing about. It's definitely timely, and it's on all of our on all of our to-do lists and the top of those. What we're trying to do and what we're working with our customer advisory boards and our customers is really coming together. And as I said before, we're looking to extend the experience and creating experiences that far extend the actual event dates. So for a sponsorship, for example, if the sponsor will have an in-person booth at the actual live event, we're extending that experience to have a virtual presence as well, leveraging thought leadership for them, using things like LinkedIn Live, for example, which we love, which is an amazing opportunity for our sponsors to get more access and have their message sent out to our attendees. So think about ways that you can extend the experience past the actual dates that are on the calendar, and how you can actually give more content, more thought leadership within those bookend dates.
That's great. Yeah, I love that concept of bookend dates versus everything, 99% of your energy focusing on that live event, or in the case of Salesforce, where they said we'll divide and conquer and do small events in, I think, 13 cities. Jake, how about you? What are you exploring there?
Yeah, I think, we are seeing customers, associations in particular, come up with some really unique business models around the events to handle that. And for one, I don't think it's going to be very hard to convince people of the value of a live event after the last year, right? I think that people are going to get it because they're yearning to get back together. However, when they get back together in those communities, there are ways to, as Christina says, to extend that impact and extend it beyond. And so they have to find unique ways to do that. And that will come with additional audience, additional impact on their missions, and additional revenue. So, so for the CFOs that we talked about earlier, it's going to cost more, but yes, you're going to make more and you're going to reach more. And hopefully there will still be a lot of things that you just can't get virtually that people will realize you have to come and be in person for that community.
Yep.
Yes, I see the same thing. Thank you, Andrea. It's good to see you as well. You're back for another session today. I did hear from a couple of CMOs who said they definitely are working on new ways to engage their sponsors, because having those virtual trade show booths didn't work so well. It's not working.
Not at all.
Nobody shows up, and it's just, there's no engagement or intimacy created in that. So I don't see that growing as all as a revenue source or a way to create a sense of belonging with your favorite with all your customers and attendees. We hit our magic hour. I don't know how this happens, but it happens every week. 30-second wrap up, Jake. One great lesson you learned as a marketing leader from the last year and a half that you will carry forward.
Wow. One great lesson I learned is, the best plans almost never happen as you expect. So you will always have to adjust. You will always have to adapt. I'm not going to say the P word, but you always have to change what you're doing to the environment, right? I'm not going to say that word because everybody's overused it. But so just, going with the flow and making the best. Don't play the cards you wanted to have, the hand you wanted, play the hand you're dealt.
I love that, Jake. Thank you. And how about you, Christina? What have you learned about yourself as a leader that you're carrying forward?
I don't be scared to completely throw out the playbook that you've had for 20 plus years, because there's going to be great success and creativity if you take a step outside of your comfort zone. Create, explore, and discover with your peers, and work with like-minded individuals to create just new experiences. Don't be scared of trying something new.
Amen to that. Boy, I don't know about you, but I sure learned a lot the last year and a half. I never let a good crisis go to waste. That's my view on life is, harness these opportunities to learn and grow. Thank you both so much for being here. And here is to a healthy and prosperous year of conferences and customer hugs. Yay.
Ooh, can't wait.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Christina and Jake, and everyone. Follow these two wonderful strategists on LinkedIn. They know their stuff. I want to go ahead now and remind everyone, you have joined today's LinkedIn Mindful Marketer live stream. There are a couple more things I want you to know before we go. Number one, we are thrilled to be partnering with LinkedIn Learning. Over 10,900 of you have taken my LinkedIn Learning course, and it's still growing. So thank you. And I'm glad to be bringing value to people around the world. This is my mission, to help marketers and CEOs create sustainable companies and better lives. So I'm glad to be here to help you. And then the other thing I want to remind you, if you are a senior marketing leader, or you are a digital guru trying to make your company more profitable and engage your customers more intimately in their lives and help improve their lives, join us June 8th from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. Eastern. We're starting our digital CMO series. We have a lineup of some great executives and CMOs joining us. And as a fan of ours, your first session will be complimentary. So go to this link, thedigitalcmo.eventbrite.com, for details and sign up before Monday. So Luella, Andrea, Tim, all of you who joined us today, I want to thank you for being with us. Next week, we have Molly Chang joining us, and she is probably the go-to woman in the Marshall Goldsmith 100 Coaches community. I love working with Molly. She knows how to bring difficult conversations to the surface and has a wealth of knowledge to help people as we all return to work and create our new hybrid events and work environments, how to deal with the inevitable conflict and challenges as we readjust our lives and come back together. So do not miss next Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Luella, again, thank you for being here, all of the new people and all of the fanboys and girls. Remember, stay safe, enjoy Mother Nature, be outside this summer, and stay well.